The sky listens. It started with silence. Too much silence.
I'd never known a building this big could feel so hollow, like a lung that forgot how to breathe. When I first moved into apartment 6C, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. A newly renovated unit in a high-rise just outside the city, cheap, furnished, and suspiciously available. The agent had left when I asked why it was so empty.
Oh, people here work night shifts. Nurses. Call centre folks. You'll hardly see a soul quiet as a monastery.
He wasn't lying. I lived there for 2 weeks without seeing a single neighbour.
Then came the first light. A flash of thin, blue, and silent that lit up the side of the building like a ton of electricity. It didn't come from the sky. It went upward. From one of the upper floors into the clouds. I stared out the window that night for hours, waiting for something to follow it. Thunder, rain, anything. But nothing came.
I told myself it was faulty wiring. Some rooftop equipment discharging into the atmosphere. But I knew better. The light didn't glow. It twitched. Moved like it was alive.
3 nights later, the second sign. At 2:14 a.m., I woke up to sound behind the wall. A whisper. Not words. Breathing. I pressed my ear to the cool drywall, thinking maybe the next door tenant had finally come home.
But there was no tenant. The next morning, I checked the mailbox slots in the lobby. Every one of them was empty, dust-lined, untouched. Except mine. Even the security camera above the elevator blinked red offline. I hadn't noticed it before. Had it ever been working?
The hallway lights began flickering at night. Only between 2 and 4 a.m. Every night. At the same time, the blue lights would twitch behind the curtains of the apartment across from mine. No one ever left. No one ever entered. And yet I heard footsteps. Slow. Measured. Like someone circling the floor above me again and again. And then, one night, they stopped. Right above my ceiling.
It was around this time that I started recording. Audio mostly. The microphone picked up things I couldn't hear with my own soft static humming, low pulses like a heartbeat. And something else. A pattern. A voice.
They see you now.
The voice was wrong. Too slow. Too distant. But undeniably speaking. Not just noise. Not hallucination.
I played it over and over again. And I made the worst mistake I could be. I uploaded it. Just to one forum. Anonymous. Buried in a thread about electrical interference. 2 days later, my post was gone. And my door had scratches on it.
Claw marks, low and wide. Like something had tried to get in or leave. From the inside. I asked the building manager. But no one answered my calls. The number on the lease rang endlessly, with no voicemail. I went to the office address listed in my contract.
It didn't exist. Just a nail salon.
The building was wrong. The closer I looked, the more it fell apart. Room numbers out of order. Mirrors reflecting things they shouldn't. Stairwells that led to sealed floors. And yet every night, the light kept rising. Blue. Pulsing. Alive.
I tried to leave. Packed a bag. Called a cab. Waited in the lobby. 3 a.m. came. No one arrived. My phone buzzed and no signal. And then I saw it. Out the glass doors. Someone standing across the street. Watching me. Not moving. Not blinking. Just staring up at my apartment window.
The sky listens. He was still there. Standing in the rainless night. Motionless. Facing the building. His face. If it was a face, it was hidden beneath the brim of an old, wide hat. No umbrella. No movement. He simply watched.
I didn't open the door. I couldn't. Something in me, some ancient animal fear told me. Stayed inside. But he wasn't outside my window. He was facing up. Apartment 6C. My apartment.
I went back upstairs. Every step up the stairwell echoed louder than it should be. Too low. Too empty. When I reached my door, it was slightly open. Not broken. Not forced. Just ajar. Inside, the lights were off. But the blue glow was back.
It wasn't coming from the windows this time. It was seeping from the cracks in the floorboards. Thin veins of light, pulsing slow, deliberate, like the breath of something asleep beneath me. I backed out. Closed the door. Locked it. and sat on the floor in the hallway shaking.
I stayed like that until sunrise. Only then did the building feel normal again. The light stable, the silence less hungry. But that morning, I found something under my door. A piece of paper, folded twice, blank on the outside. Inside, written in perfect blocky ink.
Do not listen when it calls your name.
I tried to leave again. Abba. Bus. Didn't matter. Every route out of that part of the city blocked. Detours. Accidents. Dead ends. It was as if the building didn't want me gone. Or something else didn't.
That night, I gave up. Crawled into bed, wrapped myself in layers of blankets as if they could protect me. I left the lights on. TV playing static to fill the void. Phone in hand. 2:11 a.m. The static cut out. Not switched off. Done. Then I heard it.
Elena.
No. No. That wasn't real. That wasn't real.
But it was my name. Spoken in a voice I didn't recognize. Yet it came from inside the apartment, right next to my ear. I ran to the hallway, slammed the door shut behind me, and I wasn't alone.
There was someone crouched at the end of the hallway. Low, long, twisted arms, 2 long fingers curled backward. It didn't move like a person. It clicked to bone snapping with each shift of motion.
But worst of all, it looked just like me.
It smiled.
The sky doesn't just listen. It reflects. Have you ever seen your own face move? Before you did? I stood frozen in that hallway, staring at it, a hair of that thing at the end of the corridor. My shape. My hair. My eyes. But something inside them was horribly, violently wrong.
It tilted its head. I didn't. Its mouth opened wide. Unnaturally wide. No sound came out. And then it crawled backward into the elevator shaft.
That was the last straw. I knew I couldn't stay and see another night. But where do you go when nothing outside exists anymore? I ran down to the lobby expecting emptiness. But someone was there.
You don't understand what it felt like after all that silence to see another human figure. A woman. Back to me. Standing in front of the building S entrance. The door open. Cold light air spilling in.
You shouldn't be here.
I live here.
No one lives here. Not anymore. She turned around. Her eyes were black. Not evil, just empty.
She held out a key. Old. Brass. Gold. There was something etched into it. A room number. 13F.
There is no 13th floor, I whispered.
There wasn't, until you heard your name.
She left before I could ask more. Just vanished into the dark. I stared at the elevator. It blinked. Then the display changed. For the first time, 13 appeared. My hand trembled as I held out the key.
This was insane. Every fibre in me screamed no. But something else. A pull. Like gravity. Like fate. So I pressed the button. The doors opened. The elevator smelled of burned plastic and ozone. A faint trace of lilies. And dust. The ride up took far too long.
When the door slid open, I saw nothing. Just darkness. But not empty. It was thick. Alive. Listening. I stepped out. The floor beneath me. Soft. Like carpet soaked in cold water.
The hallway stretched longer than the building should allow. Doors on both sides. Unnumbered. Each one slightly ajar. I passed one and heard myself. Whispering. Crying. Singing. Another door laughter. My laughter. But younger. A third ecstatic. No. That voice again.
Elena. You saw it. You heard it. Now, they hear you.
What is this place?
Room 13F was at the end. Dark wood. Brass lock. Same as the key. I slid it in. Turned. The door didn't creak. Inside.
Inside. A room. Identical to my apartment. Same layout. Same furniture. Even the coffee mug on the table. But the windows were mirrors. The ceiling was sky. Not painted. Real. Clouds drifted over me, and above the clouds tiny points of blue light.
They pulsed in unison, heartbeat rhythms, matching mine. Then they blinked. All of them.
The sky isn't watching, it is mimicking.
I stood in that mirror room, afraid to breathe. The ceiling sky shimmered like the surface of a lake, and the reflections in the windows, they weren't mine anymore.
They were showing things, memories, but not how I remembered them. One window flickered to life, my childhood bedroom, pink wallpaper, a broken nightlight. It's it. I was standing in the corner, watching myself sleep.
The next window in my mother's hospital room, but the bed was empty, and in the chair sat me, older, colder, smiling, not in comfort, but in understanding, as if I knew something terrible.
These aren't memories. They reinterpretations.
Written reflections, distorted echoes, or warnings. I reached toward the glass. My hand passed through.
It was like touching cold air under deep water. And on the other side, my hand reached back, but not from the same angle. It lagged, like the mirror was buffering reality.
Then a voice not spoken aloud, but directly in my mind. It came not as sound, but as knowing.
This place was empty, so we filled it, with you, again and again, until you started listening back.
What are you?
A mirror needs a face. A sky needs an eye. You gave us both.
The walls pulsed. The sky above flickered with lightning, blue reaching upward in jagged bolts. But this time, I saw where it was going. Not into space, but into something else. A structure, vast, web-like, floating above reality. A network of watchers.
I stumbled back from the glass, heart racing, thoughts fragmented. The mirrors began to crack, but not shatter. Instead, they split into thousands of eyes, each one watching me, my expressions, my breathing, my thoughts. And then they started blinking, not in unison, but in language.
A kind of code. Flashes, pauses, flashes again, like Morse but older, organic, and I understood it.
13 doors, 13 cells. One can leave.
I looked around. 12 doors now lined the mirror room, closed, identical, waiting. A 13th door slowly opened behind me.
I didn't choose to come here. Why do I have to choose to leave?
Because the sky didn't pull you in. You called it. You reached up. You wanted answers. And now, you are one.
I turned toward the open door. Inside a dark hallway flickering with blue pulses. At the end of a shape, it looked like me, but older, tired, smiling. She raised her hand, waved me forward.
And whispered, I chose.
The hallway behind the 13th door stretched too far. Its geometry didn't make sense. The floor bent upward like a wave. The walls breathed, and somewhere above, invisible, the sky pulsed like a heartbeat.
There were doors along the sides, each unmarked, each slightly open, and from each one a different knee watched, not with eyes, but with presence.
I stepped into the first room. A red light flickered from an unseen bulb. The smell of rust and earth. Inside, I was sitting on the floor, hugging my knees. Younger, trembling, wearing the jacket I'd lost at 16. She didn't look up. She just whispered.
If you hadn't run that night, you'd be buried by now, with all the others.
Others?
The ones who listened, when the sky called too soon.
I backed out, closed the door. The hallway remained unchanged. Second room, white walls, clinical, a hospital bed. I was there wearing a lab coat, speaking into a recorder.
Patient 0 remains unresponsive, but brain activity suggests shared consciousness with an atmospheric anomaly. We suspect vertical resonance, a new kind of awareness. She looked at me. You are the anomaly now.
Is that what this is? Some kind of science?
But she didn't answer. She just dissolved into mist. Third room. Dark. Only candlelight. I stood at a chalk circle. Symbols drawn in ash. My hands bleeding. I whispered a language I don't know, but somehow still understood.
To call it is to offer something back. A version of yourself. An echo. A shape the sky can wear.
Was that what I'd done? Traded part of myself to something higher? Or lower?
I ran from that room, heart pounding. Every footstep echoed in a dozen pitches. Like multiple versions of me were running too. Then I saw the final door. Unlike the others, it was closed. Fully. And there was no handle. Just a single phrase carved deep into the wood. The real one watches.
I touched the wood. Cold. Then warm. And it opened inward. Revealing. Nothing. No room. Just sky. Black. Endless. Full of eyes. And far below me, like a small reflection on glass, the apartment building. My window. Blowing.
A voice rose from behind. Closer than breath.
One version must return. To close the signal. To finish the shape.
And the others?
They become leather.
I stepped through. Fell not down, but inward. Through layers of self. Through versions of me that had never seen sunlight. And as I fell, I realized I wasn't the one choosing. The sky was. I woke up on the couch. Clothes damp with sweat. Mouth dry. Light pouring in through the window, cold, grey morning light. My phone was next to me. Battery full. No missed calls. No strange messages. Like none of it ever happened.
I checked the door. Still locked. No blue light under the floorboards. No voice calling my name. Even the hallway was normal. Smelled like old carpet and burnt coffee again. Had I dreamed it?
I walked outside. The sky was low. Clouds the color of ash. But no pressure in the air. No static. No presence. The man with the hat was gone. So were the shadows. Everything felt reset.
I almost laughed. Almost. Until I passed the mirror in the lobby. It looked like me. Same clothes. Same posture. But it didn't blink when I did. And it smiled. Just for a moment.
I stood there frozen, watching myself watching me. My reflection tilted its head just slightly too far. Then it caught up. Mirroring again.
I walked away, but I felt it lighting behind. That night I tried to sleep. TV on. All the lights burning. I closed my eyes and heard tapping. Not from the hallway. Not from the door. From the inside of my closet. I opened it. Nothing. Except a piece of paper pinned to the wall. It hadn't been there before. Same blocky handwriting.
The version that returns is not the version that left.
Is this still me? Did I pass the test? Was there even a test? I checked the bathroom. Everything in place. Towels. Toothbrush. Medication. Except there was an extra bottle. No label. Cap tightly sealed. I opened it. Inside are not pills. Just tiny teeth. Human. Child-sized.
I flushed them, but they didn't swirl. They just sank, slow like they were being cooled down by something hungry. Then I noticed it again. The reflection. Behind me. Still me. But now a crack down the center of its forehead. Leaking blue light.
Why are you still here?
Because you're not. Not Philly. There are still pieces missing. Still layers to peel.
I turned away, but I felt something dear. A sensation like skin separating from bone. I looked down at my hands. They were flickering. Shifting. Between me and something not me. The floor moved. Not like it bent, but like it was breathing. Exhaling fog through the gaps in the wood.
I am losing coherence. Losing shape. Like the sky is rewriting me. Like I was never solid, just a thought. A sound. An echo.
At night I fell asleep. Or thought I did. Because I dreamed of voices. But not human ones. They moved through me. Each one peeling off another version. A thinner, quieter Alina. until only one remained. She opened her eyes, and she was already awake.
Welcome to your new atmosphere.
The next morning, the sky was blue. Too blue. Almost fake. The clouds didn't move. They just hovered painted on glass. And everything was quiet. Not peaceful. Just muted.
I went outside, down the same sidewalk, past the same buildings. Only now everyone walking past me smiled the same way. Exact same smile. Same blink pattern. Like someone copy-pasted their faces. I passed a woman with a stroller. She waved, but the baby wasn't moving. Just staring and blinking, mouth slightly open. I looked away, and she passed again. Same woman, same stroller, same frozen baby, voice.
I went into the corner store. The bell rang, but the cashier didn't look up. Just stood there, frozen. His lips moved like he was speaking, but no sound came out. I left without buying anything. Outside, the sun hadn't moved. It was 11:37 a.m. Still, every time I checked my phone, 11:37.
Time was stuck, like the world was holding its breath, or waiting for me to notice.
Back in my apartment, I opened the kitchen cabinet. Inside, a dozen copies of the same can. No label, just plain silver. I picked one up. It was warm. It hummed. I opened it. Instead of food, a small glass eye, floating in black liquid. It blinked.
I dropped it. It didn't shatter. Just absorbed into the floor. Done.
Later, I sat by the window, trying to breathe, trying to think. Then I heard a knock. Not from the door, from inside the walls. 3 times. Then again, from behind a mirror. Then from the floorboards. They were closing in.
I ran into the hallway. It was wrong. Longer than it should be. Curved. No doors. Just one at the very end. My door. But how? I turned to go back. The other end of the hallway, identical. Same door. Same number. 2 copies. No exits.
I picked one. Opened it. Inside my apartment. But not. Everything mirrored. Left was right. Right was left. And on the table, another piece of paper. Same handwriting.
If you turn around, you lose.
Lose what? Who wrote this? What am I playing? But I didn't turn around. I walked forward. Into the mirrored space. It felt hollow. Like walking inside a thought. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Heavy. Sloppy. Striding. Getting closer. Closer. I run. Found the hallway again. Both doors now open. Both showing the same reflection of me. Except both versions were moving on their own. Neither matched my emotions. They weren't me.
You're not the original. Your memory. Repeating yourself until you crack.
I screamed. But the hallway swallowed the sound. Nothing echoed anymore. And far above me, invisible, but vast, I felt the weight of something watching.
What are you? Why are you watching me?
We are not watching. We are learning. And your pattern is almost complete.
The sky listens, but it also remembers. I woke up in bed. My own bed. Morning light filled the room. Birds chirping. Coffee smell from the hallway. Normal. But I don't remember going to sleep. Or how I got back here.
I stood up. Everything was perfect. Exactly as I left it. Except the clock on the wall read 11:37 still.
I went outside. The sky was soft. Pale blue. Clouds finally moved. Too smoothly. Like a background animation.
My neighbors were all watering plants. Waving. Smiling. But none of them blinked. None of them talked.
Then I saw him. My father. Standing by the stairs. Smiling at me. He has been dead for 4 years.
Hi, honey, he said. He looked tired. Come sit.
His voice was right. His face almost right. But his eyes, they didn't move. They just stared straight ahead and blinking while his mouth kept talking. I backed away. But he followed. still smiling, still staring ahead.
I missed you, sweetheart, he said. We all did. Come home.
I turned and ran. Through the neighborhood, past houses I'd never seen before. Everything was repeating. Same dog on the same porch. Same man washing the same red car. Looping.
I looked up. The sky had folds in it, like fabric stretched too tight. Something massive moved behind it, casting impossible shadows.
I ducked into a nearby building. Flickering lights. Empty hallways. It smelled like heat. Like static. In the center of the room, a television. Old. Wooden. Screen blank. Then it turned on. My face. On the screen. But not live. Recorded. I was asleep. Breathing. Hooked up to wires. Monitors flashing behind me.
What is this? Where am I?
You are in your memory, or the closest we could build, before it collapsed.
I turned toward the voice. Nobody there. Just a flicker. Like a reflection without gas.
You resisted. That made the structure unstable. We tried comfort. It failed.
You are not real. None of this is real. The walls began to peel. Colors dripping like wet paint. Everything glitched.
We tried to show you joy. You chose fear. Then truth. So be it.
The building began to hum. Deep and sharp. Like metal vibrating. Then the light changed. The sky outside black. Filled with red lightning. Like veins across the void.
And above me a shape. Massive. Shifting. Long. Not a creature. Not a god. An idea trying to become flesh.
There is no sky. Only the surface of your denial. You scratched it. Now it listens. And it is hungry.
I screamed. And the sound tore the world apart. The streets cracked. The buildings bled static. People turned inside out like paper folding itself. And then, silence. Darkness. A new voice. Speaker ID P429. We are almost done collecting you. Almost. The silence in the hallway was a vacuum pressing in on Clara Este. It was like the deep ocean. The elevator was gone. Where it had once stood just moments ago, there was now nothing but a black vertical shaft, open to unending darkness, windless and bottomless.
No. It was here. It was here.
She took a trembling step back as the sound reached her ears. Not the wind. Not the humming. This was breathing. Slow. Wet. Deep. Coming from below.
Hello?
Something shifted deep within the shaft just below the floor edge. Not light. Not shape. But pressure. Like some vast coiled thing exhaled and smelled her. She turned and ran. Back down the hallway. The overhead lights flickered in perfect rhythm with her heartbeat. On. Off. On. Off. Then off. Darkness. Only the strange, steady blue glow from under the doors kept her from being blind. One of them was open. Slightly ajar. Room 912.
No. Dante, look in there. Dante.
She passed it. But the light, it pulsed. Like it had seen her. A sudden vibration buzzed against her thigh. Her phone. She pulled it out with shaking hands. The screen was cracked. Static lines. And one single notification.
Welcome, Clara. We've been listening.
The app opened on its own. The same one she deleted. The weather signal app. But now, it showed a map. Her building. Dots of light flickered across the screen. Each dot labeled with a room number. Then, one by one, they went out. Speaker ID P427, oh my god. The final light left was 801. She was standing right outside. The app glitched. The map zoomed in. A flashing warning.
Object outside threshold. Breach detected.
Suddenly, the corridor light surged on, flickering in reverse sequence now. From the far end, coming toward her. The app made a high-pitched shriek, and then the phone burst into digital noise. She turned, and saw. Room 801's door was open, and something was standing inside. But it wasn't a person.
Mom?
It looked like her mother, but her eyes were glassy, clouded, and glowing faintly blue. The thing smiled, tilted its head, raised a single finger to its lips.
SHHH.
Behind it, the walls of the room had disappeared. There was only sky. No, not sky. Space. A vast, inverted world of stars and angles and impossible architecture folded in on itself. And it was pulling her in. The door slammed shut, and the building went silent. It was quiet. A new kind of quiet. The kind that came after something. Clara stood in the hallway facing the closed door. Room 801. Still. Silent. She didn't remember opening it. She didn't remember walking inside. But she was already there. The inside of the room was wrong. It had no walls. No ceiling. Just a void stretching infinitely, folding inward like an origami cathedral built by something that didn't understand depth. The stars above weren't stars. They pulsed. They listened.
Where am I?
You never left. You only shifted to where sound becomes shape, and memory becomes architecture.
She looked down. There was no floor. But she didn't fall. She stood on something like recognition. Each memory she had, each version of herself spun like a planet below her feet. Her mother. The hallway. The mirror. The test. The shadows. All of them circled her like moths around a signal.
You were the receiver. Now you are the broadcast.
Clara felt herself flickering again like before. But this time she didn't resist. Her shape loosened. Her thoughts stretched. She became multiple.
Am I dead?
Not dead. Distributed. You are Clara in room 801. Clara on couch. Clara in the mirror. Clara in the signal. Clara on the list.
She saw now above her the list. It wasn't paper. It wasn't digital. It was a thread of names braided through time, looped around reality like a warning tag. Her name blinked on and off.
What happens when it stops blinking?
Then it is someone else's turn to listen.
The list moved. Unseen hands unbraided it, slid her name out, folded it, and dropped it like a pin into still water. Her ears filled with wind, but not air. Information. A tidal wave of understanding surged through her. She remembered things she had never lived. She spoke words she had never learned. She saw worlds not yet built. And somewhere in a cheap apartment a version of her opened her eyes. Clara woke up. On the couch. Clothes damp with sweat. Mouth dry. Light pouring through the window. A grey sky. Clouds hanging low. And somewhere very high above the air was listening.